And when he was going to be here doing concerts for 2 days, I was in Kentucky.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. As you can
Hi.
see, we're passionate about things today.
I figured we've been having a conversation. I should probably hit record.
Just invite you all into the conversation with us. We're talking about music.
And we were so frustrated because the bands we really want to go see tend to be here when we're going somewhere else, right?
Yes.
So, very annoying. But that was because of Sam Rob's group putting together the Jethro Tull.
Right, and I need to be educated on Jethro Tull's music, and I'm really looking forward to this. I didn't realize how much of a hole I had in my musical education. So I've now got a playlist because I'll give Sam a story, but it looks like I'm also going to get to experience some really great music.
Oh yeah. Jethro Tull is very much, it's one of the bands I grew up on. Them and, not Backstreet Boys. I don't know why that came in. My son grew up on Backstreet Boys. Them and the Beach Boys and Boston and Moody Blues.
When Boston first came out, so I'm going to have a high school moment and be the old person here. But when Boston's album came out, they were the first one that used such amazing mixing electronics and stuff. They were so unbelievable.
But they were engineers.
They were incredible engineers, and the music was so rich, and it had high production values, but not the same way that Motown had big production sounds. But Boston was so clean and so musical at the same time. And just before that, we'd gotten Queen. You know,
so Boston. One of the things I loved about Boston, my dad was always talking about this, was they developed the CD.
Yes.
They developed the technology to make the CD.
Oh, cool.
So they could get the sound they wanted. They were software engineers. They were audio engineers. They developed. They went into engineering to develop something for the sounds they wanted to get.
Their whole technical background. Also, Born with a Feeling is the song I play in any new car I get. It's the very first thing I put on the stereo as loud as I can get it to see if it has the sound system that I need because
you have to be able to.
My God. Yeah.
Do
you know Boston? Of course you know Boston.
I know Boston. I know the Moody Blues because my aunt was a groupie for the Moody Blues.
So how long did you think Nights in White Satin was spelled K-N-I-G-H as opposed to N-I-G-H?
Forever until now.
Because I always figured it was a guy on a white horse, and I couldn't figure out why a knight would wear white satin. It just would get messy. But I was a weird kid anyway.
With as trippy as the Moody Blues can be sometimes, it actually fits with the visuals you get from a lot of their other stuff.
Yeah.
The only reason
it does.
And I kind of have this mental images of a guy in white satin knee breeches. Not necessarily the guy riding a horse, but the other kind of knight, like courtly knight. Thing. So that was my mental image.
So mine was actually so for the longest time, mine was the courtly knight thing, but he was in white satin pajamas.
Right. So yeah. I mean,
and now I have David Carradine in white jammies, kung fu fighting in my head,
walking along on rice paper. Yeah. Oh my God.
I was a weird kid, but I figured out earlier, partially because I stole 3 of my dad's albums before he actually just bought me one. And I read all the liner notes, but had all the descriptions in it.
Liner notes.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. And then
Mac.
One of my favorite things is when it's such a weird song that most people don't cover it. A lot of people don't do Moody Blues covers.
Oh no.
But Celtic Thunder did one. And they did Nights in White Satin.
Oh.
And Danny Sexbang did.
Wow.
He did 2 albums called Under the Covers and then Under the Covers 2. And one of the ones he did was Nights in White Satin and Wildest Dreams. Which are my 2 songs from the Moody Blues.
Yeah.
That are those are my songs, and he did a whole rundown on what these songs mean to him. And I'm like, oh my God, you get it! You get the music, and his voice is perfect for it. So if someone does those covers, it's okay, I have to go.
Nobody ever covered American Pie.
Ever,
because who's got 10 minutes for that?
Right. So actually, Home Free.
Oh, I love Home Free.
Did it with Don McLean.
Yes. Oh my God.
It was a fundraiser for something, but they did it all their different. It was fantastic.
So I remember, weirdly enough, because I was a wee child. Earning My Way Here Today. I remember when that song came out
Mm-hmm.
and how weird it was as a little kid to listen to that song. Like, what are they talking about? It made no sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was kind of sad, but I didn't get it. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a history lesson for me.
yeah, it's like, what are they talking about?
I think my dad actually sat me down and made me listen to it, and
Yeah.
we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
There are very few things, that my dad was, American history,
Mm-hmm.
science, and music history
Yeah.
were like the big things that he was. We will sit and talk about this until you understand why something's
Yeah.
important, which is why like I would listen to the weird music,
Mm-hmm.
and understood a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think ways that most people, especially most teenagers, never even think is going to be.
Well, and they don't really listen to the lyrics. I mean, the
Mhm.
lyricism of a lot of the early bands, except for In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida.
You have to be drunk to sing that song.
Well, and not only that, they were
I
drunk.
think you have to be drunk to appreciate that
Well,
song, because I never did.
Well, part of it is supposed to be in the Garden of Eden,
Well, I know.
right? So, but it's like, but when you listen to the things, you go back, it's like wrapped up like a deuce, and it's like it's not a douche. You're not like wrapped up like a douche. They're talking about the car wrapped up like a deuce. You know, the things that you find out later is like, what? Misunderstood
songs.
lyrics.
Yes,
Yeah. So,
yes.
but
Well, I mean, I've always liked songs that had really good lyrics.
me too.
But I also came to rock and roll weirdly, and very late, through Christian rock and roll, because we weren't allowed to listen to Christian rock and roll or any rock and roll when I was at Bible college.
Oh well, of course not.
So, of course, all of us being rebels, we promptly found and listened to and shared illicit cassette tapes, because that's how old I am, of Christian rock and roll. And, and there's a group, and a lyricist in particular, Steve Taylor, who was phenomenal. And I mean, if you listen to Breakfast Club and you go through the lyrics, it is all these little sly back and forth.
I love that song.
I
Nobody
love
loves that song.
I adore that song. But
Yeah.
that was where I first came to rock and roll, was sideways, backwards, and the only rock concert I've ever been to was the Newsboys.
I love them. They are
My
so
daughter
much
was
fun.
6. My daughter was like 4 months old, 6 months old, somewhere. She was. I had her in a sling, and we'd squishy earplugs in because she was with me at the concert.
Wow.
And I breastfed her at the intermission halfway through.
Yeah.
The people next to us, she'd slept the whole thing.
Hi.
The people next to us didn't even realize I had a baby. And they must have just thought I was built weird.
I went to a lot of concerts
I never got
before the
to.
bands got sober, which was really interesting. But I mean,
Before and after
well,
comparisons.
okay, it is, because Aerosmith before they got sober was a completely different band. I mean, and they were wildly musical. There was no, nothing. It just kind of poured out of them, and in a way that they're paying for. At least Steve Tyler's paying for with his feet now, because he was just unbelievable on stage.
Yeah.
When he wasn't so drunk he was falling off of it, but he was boggling in his intensity, and they're just being so completely in the moment musically. Just oh wow. But yeah, everything from like the bar bands, kind of thing, all the way up to U2 and Tacoma Dome, which it's kind of amazing the gamut I've been to, and the different ones. A lot of them I don't really remember.
You had a good time, but you don't remember most of it.
I went to a lot of hair bands and stuff, but yeah, there's something about losing yourself completely in the music,
Yeah.
It's just.
I knew a lot of, weirdly enough, I knew a lot of the folk bands in Colorado.
Oh yeah.
Because I went to, they played the dive bars, and they were all, they were all friends with people on the Ren Fair circuit, and there's a Ren Fair circuit of dive bars.
Yeah.
And I got pulled into that, and was never actually part of any of the groups, but I knew all of them, and like I knew who was playing where, and I could do a pub crawl on St. Patrick's Day completely sober, and hit every band that I liked.
Yeah.
Down the same street, and I loved that. I knew, and and there's some of them were like, I knew them before they were sober. And their music changes when they get clean. And some of them are like, thank God they did, because
because we like to have them here.
We'd like to have them here. And there's some where I'm like, the drugs killed their creativity, and getting off the drugs killed it more.
Yeah.
And whatever they were chasing with their whatever they were chasing to fix with the drugs was what fueled their music.
Yeah.
And then once that killed that, it's, it's done. And part of me thinks like sometimes thinks it's a shame that people get sober. But
there's got to be other ways to self-medicate. To medicate or to remedy some of the issues. Because a lot of drug use is self-medication.
It's self-medication. Well, it's like Stevie Ray Vaughan, who's a phenomenal musician, who had fallen into just like, I can play this whether I'm sober or not. But as soon as he got sober, his technical skill and his love of the music was going back up. Right, when of course, missed that concert thinking I'd catch him on the second swing. Damn it, I will never forgive myself. But he had stepped out of the rut because he got sober and was finding the joy.
Well, I know one of the things that especially with what I've noticed in my own brain particularly, and I think they're self-medicating to fix something. Yeah. And they end up killing whatever fuels their music. Yeah. And one of the things I recognize is that when I stopped drinking for a while, I couldn't write. It was like the writing was connected to the alcohol.
Interesting.
And then because that's how I had trained my brain. The alcohol took away enough of the inhibitions that I could actually let the creativity flow instead of letting all the voices in my head stop me. So that was a big part of it. So, but then, I got sober and I did nothing for 4 or 5 years. And then when I was like, okay, I started craving more of it. I started writing. Yeah. And it was completely different, and it was technically better, but didn't have the heart wildness and the feeling that was the early stuff. Yeah. And then as I've gotten better, and as I've actually dealt with the stuff that caused the need for the drink and that caused a bunch of that, and I've gotten into being able to more control the chemicals in my brain. Now the ADHD meds have helped a great deal with a lot of it, as long as I can keep them consistent. Which,
it's like the creativity will not be denied. No. It won't be. It just depends on how much structure will be imposed on it coming out. Yeah.
And it's and I look at some of the stuff that I wrote where I'm like, I was completely like, I'm like, I understand why Stephen King doesn't remember writing Cujo.
Oh, of course not.
Because I've gone back and looked at stuff that I wrote in college, and I'm like, I have no memory of writing this, and it is absolutely compelling and fascinating, and I couldn't do it again if I wanted to.
Well, that flow state exists. The question is how to get back into it.
Well, it's the...
Okay, so Kate Polk talks about portals. Yes. Sometimes you open a portal and you write what comes through it, which can be really freaking scary depending. But sometimes you can't find that gate again.
Yeah, or that gate's closed.
Because I've done that.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I mean, there's sometimes...
things that I can't finish or I can't go back and write more of because there's just nothing there anymore for me.
Well, it's like the story of the man who wrote the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, who it appeared to him as a complete long form poem, and was in the middle of writing it when somebody came to his door. And he was never able to finish it because that interruption closed wherever it came from. It's interesting, isn't it, when your creative process is like out. And
it's funny
something
because
stops it.
Once in a while I'll have something like that where I just have to get it all out of my head. And oddly enough, back in Bible college, I had a group of friends around me that I was writing poetry back then, a lot of it. And I had a poem that I was scribbling. I'm sitting in the back of somebody's car, I don't even remember now who. And I can remember them, they were like all around me and kind of protecting me so I could get this thing all the way out of my head and onto the paper. Yeah. And then years later, one of them contacted me and asked me if I still had a copy of it because he'd lost his copy because I'd given them copies. And it was one of those things that he just really wanted. And But that, I mean, that protectiveness just struck me. I don't even remember. I mean, I remember the basic theme of the poem, but my poetry was and is awful, so not sharing that. But the fact that I had friends that would do that for me.
That understood the need for protection of the space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have one story that I remember how I wrote it. And I know I was deeply depressed. I was in my senior year. I was in my last semester of my senior year of college. Like, I was graduating within a couple of months. And I was to the point where I was drinking myself to sleep at night.
Yeah.
And doing my homework with it. And I was reading a book called Forensic Nonfiction.
Oh.
Which is how to murder people in fiction and what
Yes.
it looks like. And I wrote this story, and I have no memory of writing it, but I know that I did because I finished writing it and emailed it to my writing professor.
Oh no. Okay.
I said, "This was a story I came up with. I don't know if it's any good. Could you please give me feedback on this?" I was his A student in all of his classes. He's the one. He's the one
Poor
who.
professor.
Oops.
And I to this day I refer to him as Hot Prof. Because he asked me out for a drink after I graduated.
Oh.
So like I'm not saying like
After you graduated.
after I
you
graduated,
was being good, but still.
But still, he had a thing for strippers though. So he married 3 of them. It's kind of funny.
At once.
No,
Okay.
in succession actually, and the 3rd one became a stripper after they got married, which is actually even funnier. There were issues there, but I sent it to him. He's like, "This is absolutely
fake."
So what did he say about this story? Now I'm dying to know.
I got into class, like, so I read the story that you sent. Like, oh, okay, good. He says it's a little on the short side, but there's absolutely a market for that, and it is the weirdest thing I've ever seen you produce. I'm like, oh, okay. He says, are you going to do anything more with it? I'm like, maybe. And that was it. And it was.
So the burning question is, did you have the drink with him?
I did not.
Good girl.
Should have, but
No.
I did not. But he's also the one who asked me where he was sending my letter of recommendation when I graduated.
Nice.
And I said, I will like letter of recommendation for where? He's like, well, what master's program did you apply to? Like, I didn't. He's like, he couldn't fathom it because he says he's like, you are brilliant. You could teach this in your sleep. I've seen you do it. And you need to be a professional writer. And I'm like, well, that's my plan. I just don't see how a master's program is.
Do that.
I said, I don't see how a master's program is going to help
Witness
me.
where you are now.
Right, is going to help me do that. So I came back a year later. I was an intern for Mercury Retrograde Press, which is no longer extant. And I gave him my business card. And I said, hey, I'm a professional editor. And he goes, well done.
Should track him down.
So I actually
point out 3, 4, and 5 on Amazon.
I need to go. It's actually one of the things I need to go and do. I was going to go see him with she was in the hospital at the time, so she couldn't go with me. My ex-best friend had been in a car accident, and so I went to go pick up our final papers because I'm like, because he had them, and he says, please come, I'd like to see you guys again, so please come pick up your last papers with your, because I was graduating, I was off, but she had another 2 years to go. And she was in the hospital, so couldn't come, so I'm like, I'm just going to go get it for her, and I'll deliver it to her. She got mad at me for going without her, but I'm like,
yeah, whatever. It's still there, get over it, so.
And that was the last time, and she's like, well, don't go see him again without me. I'm like, okay, fine, and, like, she and I haven't spoken in 6 years.
Did she become a stripper and marry him?
She did not.
I was like, it's like was she the person who married him and then became the stripper? So,
right, like it's such a
because
weird.
There's plot twists in here that need filling. So
yeah, this story just got wilder the longer it went on.
He's a fascinating man, and
obviously
his brain works just. It's amazing, and
it works in some areas, but clearly not in others. So
he has a type, and that type becomes something. Oh my god.
There's a story. Where do writers get their inspiration? Look around you.
Yeah. All over the place.
No, I liked him as a person, just like in general to talk to.
I know, but it's true though, in terms of like back to the whole creative thing is having a space where you can work, because Cedar just got her very own workspace. Yay! Because this, you know, it took me a long time to get to a place where I had a space that was mine and my own, and didn't really happen until my 40s.
And now it's been invaded.
Well, no, this is okay, because I mean, it was set up specifically for that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, having a place that is always set up to do the thing you need to do to be creative. Mm-hmm. I mean, having a spot where your computer always sits that you can go and sit down and write. It matters. It really matters to have that space. And and you can just get up and walk away and then come back to it and it's still there. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, the place in which you create, I don't know, I think it just kind of takes on some of the manna of magic of creativity.
We talked earlier about training your brain. And there's bad ways to train your brain, like I have to have a drink in order to write. But there's also good ways to train your brain. So that when you get yourself to that routine, if you go to that space, then your body and your brain are like, all right, we're in create mode. We're going to paint here, or we're going to write here. Yeah. And that's what I'm hoping to do with my workroom, because it's going to be a work in progress for a while, because it's the first time I've ever been able to do this.
Well, yeah, you'll figure it out.
So,
you'll figure out where things have to live.
I mean, it was so exciting this last weekend, getting stuff actually like moved in there and starting to and changing my plan because I had it all sketched out on paper where I was putting furniture and what I was doing, and then as I was putting stuff in there, that changed. Yep. Mm-hmm. So it's but yeah, I know it's training your brain. Yesterday, I decided I was going to start writing a story, which I thought I would finish today. Mm-hmm. And because of all the writing I have been making myself do for the last several months, once I started pulling the story out of my brain, it got stuck once, and I went and took a nice hot shower and got the rest of it. Because my brain has been trained that when I'm in a shower, I'm thinking about story.
And that's a good way to do it. It's you get I'm at a spot, I need to trigger this, so I go and do the thing that triggers that.
I think it's a warm, relaxed, not being interrupted. The cat leaves me alone when I'm in there. and the brain can just kind of work through whatever little block was there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I used to keep shower pens in my shower. Because it's a tub toy. Crayola makes them. Yeah. And I would write scenes and notes on my wall and then go take a picture of it and clean my walls off. Because the number of times I had ideas in the shower, I'm like, ah!
Yeah. It's agony when they hit you and you can't do anything about it.
I had for the longest time on my tablet had a waterproof cover on it because I would open the tablet and put notes while I was showering. I'm like, this is a bad idea. Yeah. So I got the crayons.
You know, there's a notebook called Write in the Rain. It's RITE. And there are Write in the Rain notebooks and pens or pencils that go with them. They're intended they were developed by guys that work like logging.
Right.
Out in the woods.
They're out there. Yeah.
In the Pacific Northwest, because it's freaking wet all the time. Mm-hmm. Yes. So I don't know how well they'd stand up to a shower, but I know that they exist.
But the damnedest exists because...
I actually have a couple of them laying around from back in the day when I was working in the woods. So, yeah.
So, wow, from Jethro Tull, we got to hear loggers in the woods with writing tablets.
You know,
I really love our wanders.
But they all connect.
But it does, and it's all the nature of creativity, and I think it's really important. You know, there's a panel this weekend at MarsCon about collaborating with other creatives, which is what I'm a real fan of, because I don't know you guys, but I love to I don't write. I love to throw things out on the floor. Watch people yell at me for having done so.
Well, and there's all these strange connections, and I think making those strange connections makes what we then create richer and deeper, because there are no new plots.
Nope.
I mean,
no, there's not.
But there's ways to develop and do all these different connections that are.
Well, I love
that can add bits to.
I love Sam Robb doing the Jethro Tull inspiring writing.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, hello, you know.
It's ripe for it. I mean,
It
really.
is. It really is, you know. And
somebody, I'm trying to remember who it was now. Somebody contacted Leslie Fish to ask about using.
Oh, that was one of our authors, J. Kenton Pierce. Was it him? No, or was it? It was him or Andrew Milburn. One of the two of them.
They contacted Leslie Fish and shared some of their work with them to prove that they were asking
They're
for
real
permission
people.
to quote lyrics, and they're like, I produce quality work here, and evidently she was tickled pink. It was
Yes.
like, this is free advertising. Also, you should pitch this to Bain.
Yes,
And I'm like,
wonderful.
I love that.
Yeah,
Right?
So, because totally. I mean, a good song is a story, and a good story can build out of a song is short, naturally so, and then you can take with the story, you can develop more and more and more. It's like what Sam did with the illustrations from Ninktober, the stories that he wrote on that.
That's a really wonderful example of interesting collaborations.
Yeah, it was a very unorthodox collaboration, very organic. I mean, we didn't really talk about it. And I would put up the image, and then he would study it and come up with the story. But there was no back and forth about.
Yeah, it was just like.
So what's this mean or anything like that? It was all
Just
Sam
separate,
took
yeah.
what he was going to take out of my story.
Now
It did influence what I was illustrating, because I needed them to have enough detail and richness of composition, so that I could give Sam handle. That was on my mind when I was drawing, and
the tool to jump in.
Right.
Yeah.
And it definitely compelled me to spend more time on days when I was tired, and I'll do a lot of minimalist, very very lightweight drawings sometimes.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that because I knew he'd be trying to build a story out of it. So yeah, it
pushed you.
It pushes me. It pushed him. And that's the thing with these weird collaborations that we come up with, is that,
well, it also trains you into consistency. Both of you, because you knew you had to depend on each. It's like, if I don't do it, you can't write a story.
Right.
If I don't get the story written, she won't have another one.
Right.
You know, it's just like, but that, which harkens
Mhm.
back to the idea of community through
Right.
collaborative
and accountability.
and
too.
accountability.
Yeah.
And with us doing the Taco Tuesday,
Yes.
I'll take my phone and play a game for a minute. You guys just, so.
But it's a marketing
but
thing,
it's
and
fun.
you should be
It's
part
really
of that
fun.
too.
No, I
Because
get it.
that's
I'm just like.
So, this actually started with you. Really. I mean, because you did this for a long time, and then you stopped, and now, because I was interested in it, now we're doing it again together.
and others are welcome to do it as well.
Right.
This isn't just an us thing. It was I'd like to do this again. I miss doing this. Like, I miss doing my fast turnaround on the shorts, and I miss doing the just start with a prompt and finish it by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Things.
Well,
Okay, here's a prompt. I'm just going to interject, and then I'll step out of this discussion. Blacksmith, I'm almost done with this sword. I just have to work out the kinks. Sword, I like feet. Blacksmith, shut up. Blacksmith, hammers the sword on an anvil. Sword, harder. Blacksmith, oh god. Okay, I'm done now.
can't do a thing with it.
Can't take you anywhere.
So I actually, in this, back when I was trying to be family friendly, there was a time
Why?
I was trying to, no, I really was. I was trying so hard to not, to write things that I thought, people would actually want to talk to me about. I ended up in romance because that's just where I end up, and that's where my heart goes every time. But I was doing stuff that was like high fantasy, urban fantasy, sci-fi. I have one flash fiction called Vengeance and Ashes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a blacksmith teaching his son, helping him finish his son. No, he knows his son has to finish the sword because it has to be quenched in his dad's blood. So his dad's spirit enters the sword, and they can go avenge their village and their family. Right. So I'm sitting here going, because I have that in my head because I've written that, and then I'm seeing the harder daddy, and I'm like, it gets so very weird.
So weird.
Because I could write that story now. I'm not going to. But
and now you've just dashed the hopes of so many people listening.
Right?
So.
No, trust me, you do not want me to write harder daddy stories because I will hurt you. Probably from laughing.
Point? But okay.
In ways you will not enjoy.
Harder.
Hurt me, daddy.
Well, on the other hand, as we were talking about Taco Tuesday and tentacle tacos and stuff, I was really tempted to go with I'm going to write spicy romance, but I don't want to maintain another pen name, so I'm going to keep my spice level down to no more than 2 chili peppers, because that's my brand. So, and I don't really want to develop and maintain a third pen name for just so I could write spicy romance. But the spice level is low in gin, but there are definitely some innuendos in there because it was amusing me. And why are we doing this if not to amuse ourselves?
Exactly. I'm doing it specifically because I enjoy doing it. If it sells, great. If it doesn't sell, fine. Like my first offering for Taco Tuesday is actually going to be a bonus scene, I guess you'd call it, for my Alien Bride series.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Because Pursued by the Alien Pilot ends with they have acknowledged that they're going to be together, and they cuddle.
Oh.
And that's it.
Yeah. Like,
it is completely clean. It is almost entirely an action adventure story with, knights and dragons and lizard men. And there's a scene I've set up that I started 3 books ago, and comes to and it's a lot of fun. But they don't. They get their happy ever after, but they don't get their happy ending. So I'm doing their first date as a couple.
Nice.
For my Taco Tuesday story.
That works.
And it's a bonus scene for my fans. I'm putting it up for free. You'll be able to download it through my blog. But you put yours up for sale on Amazon as a 99-cent story because you're building a new pen name and we're doing the same thing but with different.
Well, I mean, we're doing the same thing, and the goal is in some ways similar, which is to create a story every week with a romance theme. But in my case, you did this when you were first building C.V. Walter. In my case, I'm taking Lilania Begley, which has had to tell today 2 stories under that pen name, and one of them came out 7 years ago, and I meant all this time I have been wanting to go back and do more stories there. So the 2 of us have been talking about doing this for months, and we finally got the kick in the behind that we needed
to do it. Yes.
So, but with me, I'm trying to do a fairly rapid publishing tempo with shorts to get Lilania Begley known. So then when I do start releasing, I have a novella planned for Valentine's Day, and by the time I release that, I'll have had 3 or 4 short stories out. So there will be some attention, and the algorithms will favor, hopefully, the release of the novella. So I'll actually start to see some momentum and some sales happening there. So it's I'm going at this from a different marketing standpoint than you are,
but different points on this on the marketing spectrum.
Right.
Because I'm reconnecting with the current audience, and because I've got the next book in the Alien Bride series 90% done, and that one I want to release March or April. Actually, I could release it faster, but I want to talk to my my audio people to see if I can get it out at the same time. If they can't get it out until August, I'm just going to launch it whenever I have the time. But if we can get it out at the same time in kind of a timely fashion, I'm going to do that because that's the next step in my author journey with all of this, because I have this ability to do that. But I also need to, because C.V. Walter as an author has pretty much lain fallow for the last year. And I'm sure I said that wrong.
Well, she's been on hiatus.
She's been on hiatus
due to life things. So.
Yeah, but I haven't put anything out under that name aside from the anthologies.
Yeah, the editing work and the writing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I've have a story from C.V. I very specifically have a story from C.V. Walter in all of the postcard anthologies.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I needed to keep that name going.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of what's coming up when you search for my name is all the anthologies, which is not a problem, but it is I need to have some separation, and I need to encourage the romance writers to look at my stories again.
You want people to be able to find what they're looking for and not have to wade through all the anthologies to get there. Same thing for me, really, for the Cedar Sanderson side of things. And I have increased my publishing tempo there. But my intention was always to keep the romance-centric stories under Lelania Begley, because there are people that don't want to read romance. And rather than argue about whether that's right or wrong, I will acknowledge it and market to it.
And a pen name is a marketing choice. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the thing is that if I can get Lelania Begley built to the point where I've got a romance readership there, they may or may not enjoy the science fiction and fantasy and oddball projects, quite frankly, that I do over at Cedar Sanderson. But I'm making it open. I mean, when I put the cover together for Gin, it's Cedar Sanderson writing as Lelania Begley in big letters, but above it in the little. And when I put it up on Amazon, I wasn't sure how to do this best. But what I did was I put the author is Lelania Begley, and then the forward by, because I did write a short forward, Cedar Sanderson. So both names are linked on Amazon.
Well, that works. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like, I'm like, how do I do this? Not really a co-author situation.
It's a good way to signal to your fans where you are with that particular book.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is romance.
Yeah.
This is science fiction. So.
And we didn't have the time to talk about it, but I'm kind of feeling my way into this. Keywords, categories, and the subtitle. Because the subtitle, I'm learning, is a pretty powerful tool in getting the book set up to pop where you want it to the people that you want it to.
Yes. Because when Amazon's algorithm, okay. Technical stuff.
I gotta say, this is a whole episode all on its own. So, but okay.
Why subtitles are important.
We may have to clip this and release it as its own thing.
Yeah.
So, why subtitles are important.
So when, and actually this is in the FAQ on KDP. They tell you where people are going, what they pull from when people do a search. They pull from your title, they pull from your subtitle, they pull from your description, they pull from your keywords and they pull from your categories, and they pull from the reviews that your readers leave.
Yes.
And so if you've noticed on a bunch of, and the thing is, nobody reads the FAQ. Which is
so obvious.
Which is so startling to me. Because they tell you those are the 6 places that they look. That's where if you're going to put a keyword somewhere, those are the 6 places to put it. So the titles that are really big in romance right now are married to the blah 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 blah, because that's a string of keywords. Fated mates, married to the blah blah blah, a fated mate sci-fi romance. Because someone's looking for a fated mate sci-fi romance. Those are all strings of keywords that are going to put you into different search categories. So the thing is, your title is the first thing that they're going to look at, because they tell you what they're looking at in order. Title is the first thing when someone does a search, and then the subtitle is the second thing that gets popped up when Amazon's looking for a search. So your subtitle, if you're going to have a subtitle, now don't use it to keyword stuff, and it has to make sense.
Yeah, it can't just be a string of words. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
But your subtitle is if you're going to do a subtitle, because there's actually some genres where if you have a subtitle in there, unless it is very necessary to the book, they're going to ignore it, because so many of the erotica people have used a string of keywords in their subtitle instead of so they're like, okay, it's got a subtitle, we're ignoring that. Romance is exactly the opposite. Romance wants the subtitle because they want to know what they're getting. They're buying their reader cookies for a specific reason, and they want to know that this hits their thing. So subtitles in romance specifically, are so important for marketing. Mystery can get away with it. Like if it's
mystery, I notice because I read a lot of mystery. So I notice when I'm looking for a mystery, and it confused me at first and kind of annoyed me actually as a reader, because they have these what I felt were overly detailed and unnecessary subtitles of it's this kind of mystery, and I'm like, the heck. But then I found out that when I was searching for something specific to me but kind of vague as far as titles, because if you don't know, if you're just looking for a book that is like well, okay, we'll go back to romance for a minute. I have discovered that I like cinnamon rolls. So if I look
for those who don't read romance, please explain cinnamon rolls.
Yes.
So, and there's actually a meme, and I'll have to share it somewhere. A cinnamon roll is someone who is sweet and warm and fluffy. And so there's
okay, because just define your terms,
right?
No, and I'm looking for cinnamon roll. I'm looking for gooey, happy, warm, melty. Oh, and so if I'm going to look for a romance because I really just need to pick me up. And if I type in cinnamon roll romance, suddenly I get all of these subtitled books that have cinnamon roll in there, so I can browse through it and then try to narrow that down to
20 years from now. This is going to be a PhD dissertation, but okay. So
I could do one now.
Absolutely, because we're skimming the very tip of the iceberg, like a snowflake on that iceberg, because it is. Wow.
Yeah. It's a whole different language.
This is a whole study in linguistics and code switching too.
Yes.
Yeah. Because when you talk about the cinnamon rolls, because there's my favorite meme is looks like a cinnamon roll can kill you, and it's this character. Looks like it can kill you, and looks like a cinnamon roll is this character. Looks like a cinnamon roll is a cinnamon roll this character. Looks like they can kill you, this character, and it's like you get this whole. So like Captain America is a cinnamon roll.
But can't kill you.
But like it's. And then the Hulk looks like a cinnamon roll, actually is a cinnamon roll. Tony Stark looks like he could kill you, actually a cinnamon roll.
Yes.
And then Black Widow looks like she could kill you, and will actually kill you.
Right? Exactly.
But like that's like I love that because you get the feel for their characters.
Right.
So and I love the term cinnamon roll. I think it's oddly applied sometimes because of how people view books. Well, like.
It is very odd, and I'm actually thinking of the little cinnamon roll snake graphic I was showing you.
Yes, that was so cute.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
but all of this
and subtitle stuff.
All of this I'm learning, which is fascinating. Okay, because then my scientist brain pops out, and I'm like, data, also linguistics. Okay, this is fascinating and weird and complex, and I kind of want to dive into it now and write stories just to play with the keywords and the types, because you're doing archetypes. I mean, it gets very Jungian.
It does.
Very Jungian,
so
very
Jungian,
fast.
Yes.
But that's the thing that a lot of romance readers are looking for. They have a type, and they want to be able to find their type. So our job as not the author necessarily, because I'm going to write this story.
As the publisher and the marketer.
Publisher is to put that hat on and be like, okay, I need to help my readers find the story that they're looking for. And that was kind of where I was with trying to be like, okay, I've written this story. It's a short story. It's only 5,000 words long. But I've written this story now. What are my types here, and how do I help my readers find it? So that was why I was trying to do keywords based on that. Was kind of like, this is weird, interesting, but very weird. But also the subtitle was, okay, what do I do here? And we'll see. I mean, I don't. It's gonna be a refining process. I have a feeling.
I'm happy to look at what you've got and go through what I've got.
I definitely want to touch base with
you can see like you can see where my brain goes. Ooh, crunchy.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like, this is something that I have like been deep dived in for years because it's so fascinating to see where the shifts are and what's going on, and the fact that most people don't even recognize that it's there, but we're all using them.
Of course,
was one of the things I talked about with Chuck Gannon. I'm like,
yes.
I said, the key to finding what's going to help you is going to be in your reviews.
What the reviews say. Yeah.
Because the people who write these reviews are going to use different language than the people who write these reviews. And so you want to look at the word clouds at the top of your reviews to find out what people are looking for.
Yeah.
And then you see a lot of them, particularly with the product descriptions, are showing, this is an AI summary of what a lot of people are saying in their reviews. And then you get the word clouds. So that's been massively helpful. With a lot of with some of the stuff I've been searching for recently. But one of the things I'll go find all my comps and go look at their word clouds and say, is this truly a comp? And then I actually have somebody else go look at the word clouds on my books because I don't read my reviews. I read the first few, but I don't. I can't have that in my head.
No.
Although but then I get the hysterically funny ones where with my first book, someone's like, "Oh my god, I just love the cinnamon roll doctor," and I'm like,
"What?
Did you read the book I wrote?" Because he comes off as a cinnamon roll, but if you actually pay attention to what he's doing, he is Dr. Frankenstein. Especially as you get more into what happened with the pilot, later on. And he's got bionanos that tell him when she's hungry, and when she's being irrational and being angry, he's like, "Here, have something to eat." So he's like,
have a Snickers bar.
Right. He's basically paying attention to he's confused about what she's doing. So he looks at his reading and finds out what her biomass, her biology is doing, and he goes, "Oh, I recognize that." So he is not a cinnamon roll, but he is absolutely all about taking care of her.
Yeah.
And
which is in its own way cinnamon roll. It's just cinnamon roll on steroids with science.
No. It's an Asperger's cinnamon roll.
That's exactly what he is.
He's an Asperger's cinnamon roll.
That is exactly what he is.
Yeah.
And which is so I think it's adorable that people are like they don't if you recognize what he's doing, you're like, he's
well. And here's the other thing, which is that most readers don't deep dive analyze and they're not self-aware necessarily
they
enough.
Just know what they like and they know that they don't like it, but they don't look at it further.
And which is where you'll get angry reviews, is if they pick up your book, they think they're going to like it, they get partway in and suddenly there's a shift and it goes places they didn't want it to go, and they might not even realize what that is. So then it's really important as an author to properly signal your book with the cover, with the blurb, with all of the other stuff, so that you don't get angry reviews, because first of all, it takes your review average, but secondly, that's not the reader that you want your book to be in front of.
And that's honestly one of the things I like about some of these, particularly the angry reviews, because they'll give you they're your breaking point in your fans.
It's a clue.
Yeah.
It's information.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's very obviously just somebody with a weird vendetta, but that tells you an enormous amount of information. The negatives and the no's are the places where you can learn an amazing amount of stuff. So,
well, I love the juxtaposition on my my alien, When Did the Alien Prince, because that's kind of the break in my series where if people really loved it, they're continuing the rest of the series. If people really didn't like it, they're done.
They stop.
They've stopped at that, because it was the angrier reviews were like I was just so bored. She reiterated all this all the time. She's going back and forth, and other people who are, I'm like, okay, you are not my readers.
Yeah.
Because the people who go, "Oh my God, I can't. I'm so glad that she struggled with this. I'm so glad that she actually had to make this. She broke down the decisions that she was making. I'm so glad she didn't rush into things." And so I'm like, okay, those are my readers.
Those were who you want.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can continue on.
It's refining down to super fans. So
Right.
And I like doing that. And the Alien pilot actually is also refining down to super fans, because it's the first one that I didn't have sex in. And there were some complaints about there was no sexy time. Other ones were like, there could have been more, but this is great. But those are the ones like, she's going in a weird direction with this, but I am fascinated. Let's go. So
Yeah.
Those are the super
Taking
fans
it
who are
along.
going to go
Yeah.
into the next series.
Right, because there are readers out there that are only there for the sexy times, but there are readers out there that are there for the character development and the plot, and also sexy times are fun, but they're there for the character development and plot, and that's who you want. That's why I really like your stuff, is because a lot of the spicy romance is the characters and the plot very light on the ground, very precursory, if it's there at all, and frankly it gets boring. This is fascinating, and for me too, the other thing with Gin, because I just put it out, so I don't have any reviews yet, but I when I put out my Substack, I'm like, look, if you like this and you want more, because that was the feedback I got from my beta readers, was we want more, we want to know, and I was like, well, if you want more, leave me a good review for Gin, and I'll write another story and give you more of what of what was going on in this story. So because I can also use the beta or the alpha feedback to be like, it's not going to fit in this story, this was supposed to be a short story, this was very much a case of no Cedar, too much plot, put some plot back, that's too much plot, put more plot back.
Plot,
Put that down.
You must
No
have
plot, put it back.
No extra plot for you.
You must have plot for a good, strong book.
But it was, I wanted it to be no more than 5,000 words, and it was 4,987 words long.
Yes, and sometimes it's like, but no more
plot.
No.
Just this.
Point A to point B.
We're
Just
doing
like
down
this
the
little arc.
second cinnamon roll.
Little arc.
No more tentacle. Done. We're not wiggling off in that direction. Ain't happening. So.
Oh, there are no tentacles in Gin for you, those of you that are mildly disturbed.
No tentacles in anything I've written yet so far.
That-
But
well,
I will.
Like I said,
Yes.
there's no tentacles in Gin because it's a desert planet, so not really the tentacly kind of environment.
You don't know that. A different kind of, different worlds, different
So
fauna
far.
building. So
far,
I mean, there could be silica tentacles. So
ow, abrasions. No,
there's a name for a collection.
abrasions.
Anthology abrasions.
Abrasions. Oh my god, Abrasions, a tentacle anthology.
Wow, I just went all kinds of wrong.
Right?
Oh,
And
so
I'm
much
just,
wrong.
I'm just gonna like, how did you get all those funny circles on you? Never mind. Don't ask. But they're all over your. No.
Nope.
Fused
No.
silica is glass. I mean,
You
Anyway.
know. Anyway.
moving on. But it's
Abrasions. It's like, it could be a series.
Could be a series.
Start with abrasions.
I mean, I've teased that I might have like octopus,
Main story, rug burn.
squid,
You know.
aliens and something. Like, it was just a joke of like, because octopus are obviously aliens because they're
highly intelligent aliens.
They're not of this planet.
No.
Right.
So like I've teased like, oh, obviously we have octopus aliens and those are like their pets.
But so you could do abrasions and then you could do
No.
Abrasions, cupping.
Oh God.
abrasions, contusions,
Oh.
boning.
Abrasions, contusions, and bruises. Could be a good night. Fun weekends.
Has been.
Yeah.
Rug burn is hell the next day though.
It is.
Especially the smaller your it's anyway. Don't go there.
If he's got a beard, I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's like
Abrasions.
abrasions.
and you know, a day old shave can be like really uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yes.
Sharp. Oh my
In
goodness.
a variety of directions. So
When someone wakes up with a rug burn on their shoulder.
it's like- So on that
Anyway.
note,
We
So,
did
and
mention
this-
that we're
and
not safe
this,
for
by the
husbands.
way, is how you write a spicy romance without ever opening the bedroom door.
uh-huh.
Absolutely.
Because there's a rug right there. Anyway.
Like, wow, why does my ass hurt?
You know, I found a country song that nobody could ever play on the radio. I'm going to have to track it down and play it for you guys. Because it's a guy talking about all this weird stuff about how he feels the next day, and he has no idea.
Oh,
that one right, yes.
Yes.
Why is there a pair of size 15 Nikes in my bedroom?
Oh dear.
Anyway, but we'll just leave that alone. So in other news, since we have like 5 minutes here,
Yep, let's wrap it up.
Pin of Thorn 3 closes Friday, the 12th.
Yes.
Yes.
And then Space Marines 3 closes next Friday, the 19th.
And in both of those, we expect abrasions.
Yes.
We've already gotten them. So
Several abrasive personalities in those.
yes, Weird West opened the 8th, and like at 8:01 on the 8th, we got our first story, which I'm very amused because everyone was waiting for that one to open.
Yes.
And they were like, can I send it now? Can I send it? You're like, yes, just send me the story. And we also have All Will Burn, Fierce Love, Volume 2 is coming out Friday
Yes.
of March.
Yep. Yes.
And since Marisa Wolf is our introduction and All Will Burn, the idea came from Casey, they will both be there.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic.
Yeah, we get to go looky.
Yeah.
yes.
We've got a very busy weekend coming up.
Yeah.
So
So we're gonna be at MarsCon
Mm-hmm.
in the bar.
In
You
the
can see
bar.
our schedule on the Rector Press page.
It's
So
very, very busy, very full.
hugely busy.
Lots of people.
Insanely busy. Huge schedule. So many things. Much things.
Much things.
there's always
So.
much things with you guys at a con. It doesn't matter whether they're scheduled or not. Oh.
Well, we actually do have we have a lunch date, and we have
Well, we have a dinner date and then a lunch
dinner date
date.
and a lunch date.
And then we have a
Um,
couple of others we have to like.
Yeah.
Oh, we should send an email about that thing we were talking about beforehand.
Oh,
about
yes.
Getting together with two folks.
Right, and a couple of meetings that we have that we haven't scheduled yet that we really should.
Well, we really need to have.
Yes. Schedule the meetings.
Yes. And contracts for giant figure robots go out on Saturday
Yeah.
evening from the bar. So, and we get to meet intern Steve.
Intern Steve.
So-
yes, his business cards he will have business cards. They are hysterical.
Mhm.
As
As
I think
are
so.
all of our business cards. But
Yes.
you know,
Yes, he will
So
have his
there
own. He will be a real boy and have his own
he's a
cards.
real
and-
boy.
Yeah.
That'd be cute. So, anyway, so
Yay.
yeah, that's why you're getting recorded on Wednesday because we have to be at the airport tomorrow at a stupid early time of the
Yeah.
morning, which
Although-
does not appeal to me.
I mean, if I follow my plan, my plan,
There's a plan.
my habits for the last week, I will just be up
yes.
because apparently I
And
don't
it's
sleep
just a
anymore.
short little hop down there, and we have a long layover
Yeah.
at Dallas, so no falling asleep in a chair making me
No.
wake you up. So
No sleeping. Well,
we'll just go get some coffee and
yeah,
find a restaurant or something and sit and work, and then hop on the flight. So
yeah. I'll take a nap and then write and
Yep.
read and read
and read because
Yeah.
you know.
and just make sure I download all the stuff to my my Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Such
can read
fun.
on the plane.
Such fun.
And I will be here making dinner for the North Texas troublemakers that are remaining here.
Mm-hmm.
Which is going to be interesting because this weekend I'm doing a board retreat with the Texas Master Naturalist group I'm part
Oh,
of.
fun.
And I will come home and immediately have to cook supper for everybody.
I'll
It'll be
send
busy.
you.
Just very different from your busy.
I will send you my lasagna recipe.
I have a ham. Because that's about as easy as
There you
it
go.
We
gets.
have several
Yeah.
hams. They all live here.
Yeah, well,
So-
this is the one that I can just throw in the oven.
We could throw them in
Throw
the
them in
oven
the
too.
oven, And we need a
There
bigger
are
oven.
repercussions to doing that.
God, people get so touchy about that. So annoying. So
So, and this will be the first weekend we've been gone that you're not sending out postcards.
It's going to feel oddly empty.
yeah, going
It
to a
really
convention
will.
because this is where it all started last year.
Yep,
Yeah.
it is.
I mean-
it is. This was the whole, sure, I can do that. Wait, whoa.
If people wanted to, they could write a story over the weekend. We're not going to do anything with it.
No.
If someone contacts me and asks me for a postcard, I will send them an image. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but if they want one, I will
They
send them
can
one.
just keep it to themselves. Thank
Well,
you
no,
very
'cause-
much.
Because so I realized something as I was moving stuff into the art studio. We got given candles at Pecan.
Yes.
We did, and
We
I've
did.
been using it.
I I don't dare because asthma. But
Right.
it says, look, my last nerve and it's on fire. But on the back of it, it's my postcard image they pasted onto there.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that when they gave it to me because I was overwhelmed. I was at a con.
That was Mike.
He was
And
fine.
I looked at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is adorable.
And he did it specifically so we would remember who gave it to us.
Yes.
Well,
Yes, it's
I
Mike.
wasn't going to forget that, but I love the motto about the last nerve being on fire
We showed up
because
with Prezzies and then we put them to work.
yeah, well, that's what we do to people.
And we put him
You
to
give
work,
me
and
things,
he like
and we
actually
recruit you.
No, he was great.
he didn't like hover. He came and helped and moved things and lifted things, and then we told him to go away.
And he did.
Went away.
Mhm.
Like that's. I'd say that's not hard, but apparently it is.
Listening, it's a skill.
Well, yeah.
But he helped with the teardown
And then learned that being proper around us was utterly pointless. So
he did make a manful effort at it, though.
he tried.
Oh,
Yes.
but I almost forgot. I was going to ask you: is there a code word in romance for competence porn?
There should be.
Yeah, I know, right? Because it's like Dorothy Grant writes tactically correct romances, and I love them, and I love the competent characters.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I want
Competency
competent
is
characters.
sexy as hell.
Yes.
So
I haven't run into anything, but that's
I bet
it
there
should
is.
be a thing.
I bet there is.
We
so
should create
just don't
one.
know it
I
yet.
know there is. I just don't know what the keyword is.
Okay.
So I'll go
We'll
look
have
for
to
that
figure it
because
out.
it's got to be.
And if not, we're making one.
We have to make one, and I will just
Because that's a thing that I find very attractive.
look. We're already building a new genre. We may as well
Why
you know
not?
make our own keywords.
So what you're saying is you're building highly capable tentacle tacos.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think
Great.
on that note we can go now.
Green and salad tentacles. Yeah, I think we're good. Thank you for joining us as we rambled and talked through creativity and
Tentacles.
things.
And highly
And tentacles.
technical Taco Tuesday.
And for some reason, I'm craving sushi.
I
You're
don't
going to come to my house and eat cottage pie because it's what I've got.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll see you guys
Okay.
next week.
Next week. Probably have a MarsCon download. So